call, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap POD, Mike M.
We are live and you are here. Let's go, Billy Briggs. How you doing, Dutch? What up, brother? Doctor, what's up, brother? LJ from the NHL.
Mike, man, happy to be here, man.
On the ones and twos, -7.5, the official number we'll use, and the lines move 2 points. And this is not a show to be late for.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Fires me up every time. Shout out to Mike Kendall over there at the LFA, doing great work in the ring and hooking your boy up with a solid. So let's rock and roll. You found it, Pub Sports Radio. It's Last Call, and it's Thursday, last day of November the 30th. We've gone through 30 full days here. We've had a profitable month, and we're going to try to close November with a banger. We have a huge card tonight. Literally, the plane touched down on the runway as we ran out of gas. I mean, there was literally no time left as I was logging into the StreamYard tonight, getting through all the details, scrubbing all the notes, lots of movement. You guys know that's why you're here. We're going to talk about these changes. We're going to talk about the plays that we're on. We're going to go through all the sports that are in play tonight, the big sports. We're going to talk, and we'll start with the NFL. We've got a big NHL card tonight. I could have had multiple plays on every NHL spot tonight. So I had to really try to shrink it down. Even after I shrunk it down, I still came back and made a couple more favorites. So we'll go through that NHL card in some detail. Then we've got some college basketball spots for you guys. I think I have maybe 5, could be 6. I lost count. And then we're going to finish off with the association and the NBA. We're starting to heat up over there. Last night we took a little step back in the NBA, but it's going to be a great time tonight, and we've got just a ton of action. I was like, man, how many plays end up on the cutting room floor here? This could have been a 25 pick show today, honestly, and every one of them I just had to double check and triple check, and man, I had to do my best to scrub them and get there, and I think we did. So shout out to my guy Sharpie here. It's Thursday, you know, my boy Sugar Sharpie's back there on the ones and twos, and we're ready to kick some butt today here. Make sure you guys come in here. I know you're just getting home from work. When you do get in, hit that like button for me and throw that thumbs up. Show the appreciation for us here. Man, I'll tell you, today is not the show to be late for. I feel like I say that pretty often here, and tonight truly is. We've got the 7:30 NFL live stream tonight. You guys know we have been cashing. We got a tight panel lined up tonight to get into those plays as well. And it should be a lot of fun. You know, it's a Dallas-Seattle game, and that's where we'll start the card. But before we dive into the plays, you guys know the deal here. We recap the previous day, and I wish it was better going. But we are where we are. Transparency is 100, and it was a 6 and 8 day. I wish it was better. Couple spots that I just, we'll talk about it. Let's get into it here. Let's go. We'll give everybody a chance to file and filter in. We're going to shout out this chat as well. I appreciate you guys being ready to rock. Razor Sharp Picks. My guys, shout out to Razor Sharp Picks today, baby. Let's go. Let's end this month with a bang, he says. And I appreciate always when my guy makes time to show up and show out for us with his Gambler's First Glances and any other things that he wants to throw in the chat there for us. AOD says, Mike M, the machine. VP's 100. Okay. Let's go, VP's 100. Franchise LeBron LFG. VP's 100 again says, nice 66 Slammy. J Smooth 16. Let's get it. You know we're going to get us paid tonight here. I felt really great about the card, and more the NHL than and college basketball. Not so much in the NBA tonight, but we'll get there. We'll talk about all of that. Justin McElvey, there he is, our guy with the stacks. He says, Tyler Lockett over 49.5 receiving yards. I'm going to paraphrase or assume. And it's a plus money spot. So not only is he over 500, continuing to bless us with his action, but he's given us a plus money banger tonight. And, by game script, we should see Dallas is ahead in this game, given an opportunity for a lot of balls to be aired out there on that secondary for Dallas. We'll talk about this game. I'm curious to hear your guys' looks in the chat as well. Make sure you give it to us in that chat. Throw it out there. 3 things I need you to do. 1, hit the like button for me on this YouTube video. We told you before, It's a big ship to turn around in this social media tiny harbor, and I need your guys' help to move this thing around. So hit that like button for me. Number 2, grab a pen and paper. We're going to write down a lot of spots here for you guys, a lot of angles, a lot of trends. And then number 3, throw your picks in the chat for us. We want to cash together. You guys are getting it done as well. You guys are hitting at an incredible rate out there in the chat. And it means a ton, A, to have you guys in here, and B, to see the plays that you guys are throwing out there for us. So, I see Ian Shaver in there, says, smash the like, you donks. Absolutely, Ian. Let's go. If you like what you're hearing, my guy Sharpie always says that if you like what you're hearing, then do us the solid. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us. Give the Twitter or X promo a like and a retweet as well. Got to get that out there because it's super important. We don't have a lot of ways to measure if you guys are liking what you're hearing or not. So those are some of the plays and some of the ways to help us get out there and continue to grow. Kelly V, there she is in the chat, always loyal in this room as well. Says, hey, Mike in chat, CP3 out. Yeah, that's a big deal. I don't know if our boy, the name that we won't mention in this chat, is going to be in that game tonight or not. But if he is, he's probably going to be disappointed because he loves hating on your boy CP3. Mr. Pimp Slap himself says, Mike, what's the look on the NFL for tonight? RVD 420, my guy. Appreciate you dropping in. Hold your nose. Spurs +7, says Kelly V. Nasty Nate's out there. Mr. Trifecta. I don't know what he's going to do tonight there. Celtics aren't out there rocking and rolling tonight. So hopefully we'll find a spot for him to hit that trifecta with as well. EQ says, last call. JPZ. My guy, if you don't know, LA to the Bay in the house. Pimp game is strong with this one. VP says, Cowboys over. And franchise LeBron says, hit like button pull. I'm not sure, but let's go. Let's go. VP stands for Von Polo. Oh, Von Polo, my guy. Good to see it, dude. Good to see it. Love to see the new name. I got to figure out who's who when you guys make some of those changes for us here. So want to give everybody the opportunity to filter in here. Get everything ready to go. Kelly V says, LJ from H-Town. Cleveland blocks Allen over 1 at +135. Mobley over 1, -167. Each dude had 3 the last meeting versus Portland. Those are great looks. Love hearing them. Love seeing them. And we'll continue to try to give you guys some more looks as well. I'll tell you, right off the hop, I got a couple spots that I came into at the last minute in the double category that are some nice plus money spots that I didn't even get on the card. So I'll just kind of toss them at you and give you guys what I think is potentially some of the reasoning out there. They're just guys that have hit consistently either against the teams they're playing in the last couple of games as well. And Ian Shaver says, Prescott, rush over 13.5 looked simple, unlucky charms. Mike, guess what day it is? It's not hump day right now, the Lucky Charms. We're at Thursday, baby. I guess it's hump day as we move to the weekend here, right? So Thursday leads to Friday, and then we are at the freaking weekend. So let's go. And then Pollard, rush over 62.5, says Ian as well. This should be a fun game. I know a lot of guys have talked about this total, and we'll get into all that too, but let's go through this recap. I hate to do it. I got to swallow my pride on a day where we go 6-8. We came off a solid day the day before, and then we kind of took it in, probably got a little too cute with it, right? Let's start off with this thing. We hit the Magic first half -5.5, cashed it, right? It was an easy casher. We talked about the game. We talked about the streak. Probably should have been on the full game as well. Kind of bite myself or shot myself in the foot with that Lakers same game parlay. Man, I wanted that plus money spot. We had the Lakers. We had AD 18 plus points. He had gotten that in the first half. And then Duran over 10.5 rebounds. And I want to say he ended with 8. Could have been 7. Scumbag. Got me right in the bottom out there. And we took that out. The Suns took a big loss against Toronto. That was just a weird line, weird draft spot. Toronto off that travel game too after the Nets there was really surprising to me to take that out, but it is what it is. Philadelphia couldn't text me after the show was done, right before the game. It was about 20 minutes before the game started. He goes, guess what? You were right. Embiid's out. And -2.5. We took that one on the chin as well. And then the Jazz +4.5. So that Jazz team just kind of can't get the right angle down with that Jazz spot there. We stayed off them a couple of spots. They came through. We had them once, and then they gave us the L yesterday. So anyhow, we're going to move on. We'll talk about that Clippers game. They won that game for us. UC Irvine +5.5. There were 4.5. There were 6.5. There was a huge live spot at +12 at one point out there. They were getting beat up, and they came back and they covered the spread for us. Lost by 2. I thought they were going to win the game outright. I gave that money line out on Jimmy the Bag show, but then I kind of pulled it back when we started seeing some last minute line movement against it. Colorado +3. All the guys we talked about in that game came through, showed up, showed out. I think they lost by 5. And And that hurt. That stunk because, again, the guys that we were talking about just, whatever. Bama A&M, though, how about that? We were dumpster diving in that Alabama A&M spot, and 0-5 Alabama A&M comes out and wins outright. We had 7 points. We didn't need those 7 points, but we'll take that W nonetheless. And we have a similar spot tonight in college basketball. I think that will fall into the criteria. New Mexico with the -7 got that done for us. And then Eastern Washington. I wanted to hit the panic button about 100 times on that Eastern Washington game. They went down by like 30 almost at halftime. And it was just how I expected it to go, where they were going to start to pull it back. Towards the end of the game, I turned it on. They were down 24. I was like, okay, here we go. And then it just kind of, the wheels fell off again, and they did not cover for us. There was an L. Columbus took the loss. We did get that Kings under 6. That was a big last-minute ad. And then we lost the parlay. We took a shot with a +120 parlay. So, look, it is what it is. We're going to move forward. We're still a healthy over 20 units in the black, and a big positive record here, as you guys will see across the bottom. So we're going to have some scrolling numbers across the bottom for you with some of the line movement. Keep in mind, the line movement that I shared with you on the screen today and now is going to be fresh line movement, whereas the line movement that you'll see floating across the bars on the bottom are from probably around 4 o'clock. Around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So in the last 2 hours, we'll be able to capture a true depiction of what's going on with some of this late movement. And then, of course, you guys know on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the agenda, if you will, of games that we're going to go through. And across the top will be the plays that we've either got locks or I don't want to say locks, but we have looks or leans, right? We'll call it that. We'll get that done. So again, we're going to have this thing get ready to rock and roll. And Nanya's up in here, says, just pulled in the drive and off for the weekend. My guy, Nanya's ready to rock. Been a slow week of bets for me, but back with the NCAAB shit tonight. We can say it. We're after the 8-minute mark, 60-30 college basketball as of now. Nanya kicking ass out there on the college hard. Would love to see it, Nanya. So happy for that. He says, Tennessee broke my heart again yesterday. Tennessee State. Yeah, it is what it is. Win some, lose some, right? Tease, I know. As soon as I saw your name in there and I said it, I thought twice about that. We won't do that again. That was my fault. That was a faux pas for me. It was a party foul. But it's not going to be the first time I'm sure I do something stupid like that. Kelly V, Indy at Miami today, and staying at the same venue, Golden State, LA Clippers today, and switch venue Saturday. Today's Golden State money line spot for our girl Kelly V out there. And there's Justin V. Anyone? A college B expert, and would take Tennessee Martin +7.5 against 1-win Rice. We're going to talk about that game too, Justin. So let's get this plane in the air. We got a ton of work to do, and what? The clock is ticking. Again, 7:30 tonight. We're going to be right back at it talking the NFL, and then it's going to be a great live stream. We got a ton of games tonight in play and a lot of later starts. So should be a lot of opportunity, not just to cash in in the NFL, but we're also going to hammer away on college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, and who else? No, I don't know. Maybe they're going to be, maybe there's going to be some beach soccer going on there in Egypt or something, and we'll have an opportunity to take a look at those as well. So I don't know. We'll see. We're going to have some guys out there that focus in everything, the unicorn cappers, as you well know. And the first game we're going to start out with here is going to be this Dallas Cowboys spot in the NFL. Let me queue up my betting analysis here, the public betting report. And the other thing I forgot to mention, I started breaking out yesterday the Steam report, right? I started sharing with you guys that Steam report information that I get. Recapping the Steam report, they did go 3-2. So, that's something that's been a tool that's been helpful for me when it comes to the NBA, and something I wanted to start to kind of interject with the show here. So I do have more on the NBA as far as the Steam report goes tonight. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the association. But we're going to start out this first game on the card here. And of course I got to play in the NFL. Are you kidding me? Prime time, Thursday night football. We've got the Seahawks at the Cowboys. The line opened at -3.5. I'm not sure when it opened at 3.5, but nonetheless, we're at 9.5 now. We have 77% of the bets and 68% of the cash on the Dallas Cowboys. And then as far as the total, the interesting spot here is despite this primetime unders hitting at an unbelievable rate, they have moved up 2 points. There's 52% of the bets, but only 39% of the cash on that over. You guys remember when I talked about it before, the bets, the percentage of bets kind of represents all encompassment of plays being made. So that's going to include parlays. That's going to include teasers. the money, we're going to look at the money. That's going to be a true reflection of kind of the money line. And when we see numbers like this, where there's only 39% of the cash on the over and 61% of the cash on the under, keep in mind that variance tends to lead to those bigger bettors, sometimes known as the sharper bettors, that are betting, maybe it's syndicates and things like that, that are putting that big money out there and moving those numbers. So that being said, look, my play for this thing, I just have to look at how I think this game script goes. Dallas has won an unbelievable 13 games in a row at home. They've won 6 first halves in a row at home. 6 first halves in general, 5 first quarters at home. That tells me they start out pretty strong. And I saw this number at 9.5. Dallas Cowboys are 11-2 in their last 13 home games against the spread. So they've won 13 outright. I see a lot of guys in the chat saying Dallas is going to smash, but one thing that I will say out there, a Dak Prescott specific stat, and this is what led me to isolating this game down to the first half. I want to take the 5.5. I think they can come out here and get this first half by a touchdown. Does the back door open up? I think it does. And, here's what we have is good teams when they're playing Dak Prescott. Good teams defined as teams that have a winning percentage over 50% on the season. Seattle falls under that bucket at 6-5. When Dak's playing outside of the division, so when he's not out there getting his ass kicked by the Philadelphia Eagles, and the total's over 44, the road dog is 11-3 outright. So Dak in a tough spot tonight. Now they have won a ton of games in a row when the teams have covered the spread in their last 3 games, and it's equivalent to a touchdown in all 3 of those games. They're 15-1 as well. So there's a lot of kind of double or counter narratives in the way this thing's going to look. When Dak becomes a favorite of 3 points or larger against the opening spread, he's 29-17-1 against the spread as well. So we do see Dak, sitting at that 9.5 now. But again, I'm not going to mess around with the full game on this one. I'm going to start with that first half. I'm going to lock in that first half minus 5.5. And we're going to move on this card because we don't have a ton of time to get into the weeds, so to say, with some of these spots. So yeah, T says Dallas has played cupcakes, and I would not disagree. He's got the first half Cowboys Seahawks full game, probably one of those double chance parlays out there. I'd be curious what the odds are on that, Tease. That sounds like something I'd want to get into, but we're going to get into the NHL and we're going to get this thing rolling here. So the first game on the card, I got this New Jersey Devils at Philadelphia. We've got Schmidt and net for New Jersey, at least likely. And I'm going to take a step back before I say this. Something that I've been kind of monitoring, I haven't been tracking it as closely, but I know it's happened the last 3 times. From when I put the show together to when the goaltenders are actually named and official goaltenders, if they've made a change, it's 3-0 in its last 3. I'd have to go back and look and see that. I'm not going to, but you'd have to go back and look and see the exact detail of what that number looks like. But it's almost like the teams have gotten ready for who they're going to play against in goal, and they know how to shoot on them. They take all their practice and their prep. And that last minute switcheroo kind of throws things off. I mentioned that because Schmidt hasn't been confirmed official at last look about an hour ago, but he is 2-4-1. He's going out there against Carter Hart, back from the sickness, back from the injury, 6-6 Carter Hart, 3-0-2 goals against average for Schmidt, 89.6% save percentage, 257 goals against average for Carter Hart with a 91.1% save percentage. And, look, this is a simple cap for me when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers. I got the road Devils. This series between the Devils and Philadelphia, first of all, isn't a very far spot, right? It's like, maybe 90 minutes, depending on traffic from New Jersey to Philadelphia itself. So travel's not really that big of an opponent or proponent or issue in this situation here. What we do have, though, and this is what I said about the Philadelphia Flyers, is they find a way to start out strong. And then what happens is they start to regress after the month of November. We're seeing that now. They are in declining fashion. Carter Hart, 0-3 in his last 3, just came off that 4-1 loss to Carolina. And they didn't look good doing it. They were just down. They let a bunch of goals in there again at the end. It looked like Carter Hart was starting to get a little tired and starting to struggle a little bit. An important note, road teams, when they're on the first game of a back-to-back as a favorite, that's not a huge favorite, not like a minus 300, 400. If it's less than minus 200, they're 72-29 if they won their last game. And that stat goes back 3 years. So there's 3 years of data built into that number. The over is also 58-42 to the over. But I didn't see a huge margin or benefit on the over. I'm seeing the average score is 3.7 in favor of the Devils, 2.7 to the Flyers. Gives us about a 6.4, and I'm seeing 6.5s out there. So the trends suggest an over, but the bigger opportunity is the 72 and 29 spot. Also, road teams that are coming off of no rest and have a win. So the road teams with no rest after a win, 72 and 29. It's the no rest next. No road teams that are about to start a doubleheader with no rest are 72 and 29. I can't read my own writing. There's so much going on. I'm struggling to read it all. But anyhow, last thing is when you have an away favorite. This is a big one. This is a long-term trend in the NHL, not just team specific. But when you have an away favorite that's got a win percentage of 40 or better, and they're playing an opponent with a win percentage of 40 and better, there's almost an 800 win advantage to that away favorite. 2,258 wins, 1,488 losses. All signs point to Jersey for me in this one. I think it is that declining spot. I told you before, the Flyers ruin goaltenders. It's a Carter Hart contract year. He's already gotten injured. They stuffed him back in. He's not winning games. And I think it's going to be more of the same tonight. I'm going to take the New Jersey Devils, and we're going to move on to the next game. Again, right-hand side, you guys will see the baggage that we're going to go through here. No official plays for me in this one, but there were two leans that I liked. I had to come down to the fact that, look, Florida Panthers aren't playing very well right now. They're not scoring a lot of goals. The Canadians just had Monteball in goal last night. Big 3-2 victory against Columbus, and it's a travel spot back home for Montreal as well. So it wasn't a real sexy game for me to jump into. SpongeBob, 249 goals against average, 91 save percentage. On the other side is Primo, kind of a guy that's flipped back and forth between, he had some AHL time as well, but 3.4 goals against average, 89.8% save percentage. SpongeBob is off a 20 save shutout win. And the Habs, he's also got a great record against Montreal, a 248 goals against average, 92.1% save percentage. He's 15-7-1 in the 23 games that he has faced Montreal. So he does play incredibly well. He's having a decent road trip up there in Canada, right? They had that Toronto spot, then they had Ottawa. Now they're going to finish it off with Montreal. The Habs, Montreal, off that back-to-back last night with travel, as I mentioned. They have the 6th worst offense in the NHL. So the funny thing about Florida is all of these games have projected for over spots, and they haven't gotten there. So, 3-2 win for Montreal, as I mentioned, and I think I said Columbus, but it was San Jose. As far as the season's concerned, away favorites, when they have a scoring margin, their last game, that was less than 2 goals against the opponent that they're playing today. So when the opponent plays and this team plays, and the opponent's goal scoring advantage was less than 2 goals against the team that's playing themselves, they are in a spot that's 17-13, but it's a 7-22 spot to the under. So it suggested another lower scoring game. Also, you guys, this is the flip side of things where I kind of got to perplexed here. When you last played Columbus, Washington, or the Jets with a total over 5.5, you're 34-20. You're not winning by more than a goal, which cut me off that puck line. And you're 40-14 to the over, suggesting a higher paced or a higher scoring game. Just a couple spots that got to me there. Now, the other thing I look at is when the Canadians are home dogs with no rest, they're 3-8 straight up. They're winning by less than a goal, so it's a 0.91 margin. 11-0 to the over with a 1.68 goals margin on that over. So that was kind of the big one that jumped out at me. Yeah, unrested home dogs are 17-62 in the NHL, 46-26 to the over. Just a lot of spots here. Bigger picture, if you go back to 2007, when you're an unrested opponent in the NHL with a total higher than 5.5, the team that's the favorite is 673-297. So just a lot of reasons to go back and support this Florida side of the house. I couldn't get there. The lean that I'm going to give you guys, I got 2 leans in this game. I got the Tkachuk to score a goal. And, if you look at Tkachuk right now, he's got just 1 assist over his past 7 games. Hasn't gotten a goal in his last 9 games, and he's been shooting like crazy. He's been shooting 34 times. So, here's a guy that's kind of struggling. You see that the Florida Panthers are struggling to score. You could say that he's due. He's got 12 goals in 22 games against the Canadians. I like the same game parlay. If you fasten a Tkachuk goal to a Florida Panthers huge favorite spot, it's almost 2-1 your money back on that thing. So I looked at that. And the other thing I looked at was just because Montreal's in that back-to-back spot, Montreal's team total under 2.5. Ultimately, I couldn't pull the trigger on either. but I did want to kind of share some thoughts of how I would kind of dial up that game and get things moving. Let's roll on to the next one. A lot to cover here. Appreciate you guys out there in the chat throwing the picks out there. I see them. We have a ton to cover, and we want to make sure, share alike. But the game that I have an official play for you guys on here, second official play in the NHL tonight's going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's a plus dog Pittsburgh Penguins spot, plus 116. It's Pittsburgh at Tampa Bay. We have Tristan Jarry in net at 7-8-1. On the other side, we have Andrei Vasilevskiy at 1-1 now. So 247 goals against for Jarry at 91.6, 252 goals against for Vasilevskiy at 89.1. Look, I think it's a bounce back spot for Pittsburgh here. Jarry coming off that 3-2 loss to Nashville the other day. We were on Pittsburgh. They bit us in overtime. They went down 2-0. They came back 2-2, and then they lost in overtime. It is his third start. He's 1-3-1. His third consecutive start. He's 1-3-1 in his last 5. Penguins aren't scoring a lot either, right? So the Penguins are scoring 2 goals or less in their last 4 losses. But Tampa Bay's lost 2 in a row as well, and they're getting outscored 7-2. So here's both teams that are in a tough spot that maybe can't pull the trigger and find the back of the net. Everyone's going to look at this number and say Vasilevsky's the guy and this and that and the other thing. Look, he came back against St. Louis, and that was a big game for him, right? That was his first game back off of the sickness and the injuries that he was dealing with. But then he got pummeled, right? He got pummeled out there that next game out against Colorado. So not the Vasilevskiy that he's still working to come back to form, I guess is the best way I would say it. Also, there's some spots that I like to factor in here. 2 spots I like to factor in. The first is the 10-game factor. I've told you guys before, when I see a team gets to 10 games, it's incredibly hard to lose a 10 spot in a row. Pittsburgh's lost 9 in a row after an overtime game. So this is that potential 10th spot for them. They have covered 4 puck lines against Tampa Bay. So I kind of bottled all that together in the soup, and I said, we got a team that's approaching that 10 spot in a row. We have a team that's covered the puck line against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's not scoring a lot of goals right now. This is a potentially good spot for Pittsburgh, and we're getting them at a plus money spot here. Last but not least, after you've played the Coyotes and you're a home favorite, you're 0-6. So Tampa Bay just played Arizona. They lost that game in Arizona. They're back home as a favorite, and they're in an 0-6 spot. So kind of all that recipe to me said, I'm going to take a shot with that plus money spot for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And let's keep rolling, guys. Yeah, Nasty Nate said it. Hit that like button, or you're not going to be happy with the outcome. Or maybe your girl won't be happy with the outcome. Or maybe it's going to be difficult along the entire stretch. I don't know. We won't get into it. But Justin B says he likes the Flames plus 1.5, Jets plus 1.5, Kraken plus 1.5. Let's talk about this next game here. I'm dog hunting again. We're going big game hunting tonight. We're going to take the elephant gun out, and we're going to load for big, giant elephants. Let's go. Chicago at Detroit. We got Mrazek in net versus Leon. And, Mrazek's a 3.22 goals against average, 90.6% save percentage. Leon's a 1.35 goals against average, 95.2. I was kind of blown away when I saw that because he is very much the backup. And what I like about this thing here is, first of all, we have another 10 in a row spot. Chicago's lost 9 in a row after a win. They're struggling to put back-to-back wins together. We know the peripheral that's been going on with Chicago. Didn't he hook up with Connor Bedard's mother? Doesn't matter. He's out the door, outright release. I like that they outright released him. You got to move forward and kind of protect the franchise and your star player. Secondarily, the statement came out from Perry saying it was a mental health thing or something around substance. It had nothing to do with any players or their families. So that's all kind of hopefully going to go put to bed. When I looked at this game, though, and I jumped into it deeper, I said, we got a young, fast team in the Blackhawks out there. Yeah, they're inconsistent. We see they're struggling to put together back-to-back wins. But then on the other side of things, with the Detroit Red Wings, their star players out. Larkin being out, they just came off of a big win, but that guy controls the tempo of games, and he's out of this thing. So I had to move forward with the Chicago Blackhawks spot. Mrazek, when he goes out there, this is a revenge or rematch spot for Mrazek, his former team in the Detroit Red Wings. He's got a 307 goals against average, 88% save percentage. Not the best numbers, but the team rallies behind him. He's 7-2-1 in a 10-game span against his former team. So big opportunity. I thought, again, Detroit, the factors to me pushed me over the finish line here. Oh, and by the way, with Leon being a backup goaltender, why not take the shot? Chicago has won 3 of their last 4 games. Seems like a good opportunity for me to jump in on that Blackhawk spot. We'll keep it rolling. We'll move this train down the tracks. Lot to cover. lot to cover. We're just getting started. Oh, geez, we're already 30 minutes in. We got to pick up the pace here. We got to keep a brisk pace, as our guy Pete Loshak likes to say. We got the Islanders at Carolina, Varlamov in net, and there's that Kochetkov again, right? Kochetkov was a guy that's kind of been bouncing between the AHL and NHL in rotation for Carolina. I'm going to try to truncate some of the stuff here for you guys to keep it moving. I went with the under 6. Why did I go with the under 6? The last time this is the second time they're playing this season. The last time they played, it ended with 7 goals, which is really one of the first times these two teams have played in the last couple of years that they've gone over that 6 mark. The Islanders on the road this year are averaging 2.8 goals a game. That's got to be one of the league lowest in the NHL. Flip side of that thing, if you look at Carolina, they're only allowing 2.7 goals per game on the home ice. And again, with the goaltending situation in flux here, once Anderson went out with that body injury, Kochetkov has come in and he's kind of earned himself that position in the NHL. So we have a goaltender that's playing pretty well. And on the flip side of things, we have Varlamov in net for the Islanders. And, he's kept his rotation. The Islanders like to go a 1 every 3 start goaltender spot. And, Varlamov's been the guy that's been able to maintain or at least hold his footing out there. Carolina, yes. 12th in offense in the NHL, 3.33 goals for. But the Islanders, 3rd worst in the NHL with only 2.62 goals against. Put 3.33 to 2.62. We're still under 6. And it's a minus 120 spot. So it's a lean for me in that game. But we're going to move on to the next. And the next game we're going to look at is the Wild at Nashville Predators. And this is an official ad that I made in there. I said to me it was a Nashville spot. Nashville, give me the money line for Nashville. It says lean on the top of the screen. I did make it an official ad, so we're going to make sure that we track that for show purposes. Gustafsson at 3-6-2 for the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild just came off that big 3-1 win in regulation, traveling on the road to Nashville. Nashville's got UC Saros in net at 8-9. But Saros has been playing pretty well. He's got a 90% save percentage. It's his 3rd straight start. He's won 4 in a row. And he's looking to get his 5th straight. Nashville's on a 6-game winning streak. Nashville started the season poorly. There's definitely an uptick from the start of the season. He started the season at 89.2% and a 4-9 record. He's now 92.5%. And Nashville's goal scoring has gone up as well. The last 6 games, they're 4.33 goals per game on average. A bad spot for Wild to come in here. They're standing on the tracks, and the train is very much coming through. Last one I'll share with you guys, when the total is a 6, there's a home team off a win and an under, 24-9 to that home team. That's a Nashville spot for me. I've got Nashville at a minus 115. Couldn't pass that number up. Again, a team that's running hot, low juice spot for me. Let's take it. Let's keep going. We're going to talk about this Edmonton Jets game. A lot of controversy in this game. I know our guy, Ronnie Crawford, he's been kicking butt over there with his new gig that he's got. Couldn't be happier for the guy, but he's on the Jets tonight. And I'm going to go head-to-head with our guy, Ron Crawford, because we've got Skinner in net for the Oilers. We've got Hellebuck in net for the Jets. Hellebuck 10-5-1, no question about it. Skinner 7-7-1. When we break this thing down, though, Skinner's going for his 4th straight win. We got another team that's picking up the pace and the slack. The Jets just got shut out 2-0, so you could argue, well, they're in a position that they should want to come back and fire. But, the thing about Edmonton, and we talked about this 2 weeks back, they fired Woodcroft. They brought in Connor McDavid's coach from juniors. They got Campbell in goaltender, and they assigned him back down to the AHL, and he's been terrible down there. Since then, Skinner's kind of regained his position. That uncertainty around somebody looming over his shoulder has gone away. He's 69 of 75 saves. He's a 92% save percentage since that big move between Campbell going down and Woodcroft getting fired. Hellebuck has allowed 2 or less goals in his last 4. I think it's a lower scoring game. But Edmonton, since that transition, their last couple of games, they've outscored opponents 18-6. The big number for me here is the revenge rematch spot. The Jets won the last time they played each other. The Jets picked up that game against Edmonton. When you're in the rematch spot as a home dog and your opponent's got less than a 50% save percentage, you're 27-84. 84 losses, 27 wins. Yeah, the Jets just lost 6 in a row as home dogs as well. So they broke that streak. But again, the Edmonton Oilers at a spot that's minus 115. What I like most about that last trend that I read you guys, you're in a revenge spot. Your rematch is a home dog with a team that's won less than 50%. Edmonton started the season off like complete dog shit. So there's no wonder they're 50% or less. Their coach got fired. They're kind of shuffling the deck around a little bit, trying to figure things out. But Edmonton's not a less than 50% team. So we're almost cheating that trend by being able to take advantage of Edmonton at this minus 115 price. And that's very much what I did. So let's keep rolling. Let's go. Jacqueline's out there. Andrew G says Skinner. Yeah, buddy, we got it. Let's keep rolling. Kelly D says Joe Madden also likes Nashville money line. Just a good team in the right spot. So let's keep it rolling. Let's talk about this next game. We're going to talk about the Stars and the Flames. Wedgwood versus Markstrom. And this was another one that was kind of on the fence for me. I love this hockey slate tonight. So I wanted to make sure that we covered a lot of this hockey because we've had a great month of November in the NHL. The stats will show it. And I wanted to make sure that we covered this one. At first I was a little uncertain. I like Wedgwood, though, as the backup goaltender. Ottinger just had that huge win last game. Wedgwood's in here as a backup, more than serviceable. Big deal was the New York Rangers had a 19-1 streak when they were going on the road against the West. And Wedgwood, as the backup, was able to come out there and lead the Dallas Stars to a victory 6-3. Markstrom on the other side, just coming back from an illness. You know, he did let up 4 goals on 28 shots the last time they played Dallas. Now, the Calgary Flames were able to come in there and win. They won 7-4. So they were able to hang on to get that victory, but it wasn't the best showing for Markstrom. Then he had the illness. So we've got kind of a revenge spot, a rematch spot. You know, the last number I'll share with you guys, well, not the last number, but Calgary's lost 6 in a row on the puck line after an overtime spot. So in this case, Calgary is plus 1.5. If they're losing that puck line, you could almost see a Dallas minus 1.5 spot. What left me away from pulling the trigger on that puck line is they just came out with the Vezina Trophy winning stats and odds right now. Somehow, as much as a pile of shit as Markstrom has played with 5.72, his 2.93 goals against average and his 90.1 save percentage has put him in the Vezina race. So, you know, that just came out today. And I'm not sure what that does to a guy's head. Does he come out there and play like Superman? I don't know. But I do know when you've shot more than 30 times your previous game and now you're a home dog, you're 17-40 overall, losing like crazy, and you're losing by a margin of 1.19 goals. So last number I'll share with you guys is when Dallas is on the road after a win of 2 or more goals, they're 6-3 outright. So all those trends pointed to Dallas for me. I had to jump in on those Dallas Stars. I was going to say Dallas Cowboys. Hey, what an idea. A Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars parlay? I don't know. Maybe that's in the works. We'll talk about that later on. Let's roll on to this next game. Colorado is not on the docket, right? But I'm just going to sneak in here as if we don't have enough to talk about. Only thing I'm going to say to you guys with this Colorado-Arizona game is the home dog, when the Blues are coming to town next, is now 1-30. It was an 0-30 spot out there. But we know that the Chicago Blackhawks beat the Toronto Maple Leafs to end that streak on Saturday. It's now 1-30, and it's 9-22 to the under. So we have Georgiev in net for Colorado, Ingram in net for Arizona. Ingram starting again. You know, just a spot where I didn't want to really get involved. It was too juicy for me to play Colorado. Arizona is playing some sorcery with Ingram going back in their net. Again, they're playing the hot hand. The away favorites, when they're 40% or better versus opponents that are 40% or better, there's that stat again, 2,258 wins to 1,488 losses. That's a huge trend with a ton of sample that shows when 2 teams that are really decent play each other, the away favorite tends to come out with the victory. I'm just not going to lay that juice on that thing. So I wanted to share that, though, because the 1-30 trend is in play. If you like the 0-30 and they just took the loss and you want to ride it again, maybe that's something to consider, but it's off my card. We're going to talk about this Capitals game. We're going to talk about Capitals at Ducks. This is another one that's just a lean for me. We got Kemper in net versus Gibson. Kemper was supposed to start the other day, but they changed up that goaltender against the Los Angeles Kings. So, you know, the Kings took the loss. That backup, that's one of those trends that I was telling you guys about where the goalie that makes that last minute change and doesn't get the card official, you know, ends up coming through and winning those games. Now they're putting Kemper back in. My feeling in that spot is it's very much like a starting pitcher when they change that rotation up. Their preps changed up, their pregame routines changed up. You know, Kemper is going to make his 3rd start in 5 games. He's got 2 goals in his last game on 23 shots, so he didn't play terrible out there. And the Ducks are on a 7-game losing streak, but I had to cut something. I couldn't come out here with 15 hockey plays. Again, we have the away favorites, 40% win percentage or better, versus an opponent with a 40% win percentage or better, 2,258 to 1,488 overall. Again, I think this is a cheating spot because the Ducks shouldn't have a win percentage over 40%. If you break this number down, the Ducks are bottom 5 NHL team. They just had a huge win streak early in the season to get them in the right direction. Now they have Gibson and net as their starting guy. Washington is off a back-to-back. This is their second game after just playing the Kings. And they have the second worst offense at 2.32 goals for. So I just had to go back, and I that was one of the cutting room floor spots for me, was the Washington Capitals. Might end up making my card later on. We'll see how the night goes. But we whipped kind of through the horn, and we're going to get to this last game for you guys here. This Vegas and Vancouver position. We have Aiden Hill, and we have Margaret Thatcher Demko in goal. Aiden Hill, 9-2-2. Thatcher Demko, 11-5. These are two of the best goaltenders in the league. This should be a battle royale right now. We got a 196 goals against average for Aiden Hill, 93.3 save percentage. We have a 2.1 goals against average, 92.8 save percentage for Demko. Demko's got 5 starts in the last 6 games. He just had a huge 30 out of 31 save performance on Tuesday. Vancouver, 3 of the last 5 spots out there have been victories. Vegas has one or less. I'm sorry, 1 goal. I had to read my writing. Vegas has 1 goal or less in 2 of their last 3 games. Vegas isn't scoring a ton. And then if you look at this thing here, the other number I have for you guys is if you previously played the Anaheim Ducks and your opponent's on less than 2 days of rest, you're 11-2. You're on a 1.77 margin of victory. So this is a Vancouver spot for me. No questions about it. I like this hot team with Vancouver. Vegas is in turmoil right now. They're reeling. They got some defensive injuries. They've been changing their lines up the last 3 games. If you've been watching what's going on, they can't quite figure out what to do with their situation. And on top of things, they're in that kind of Canadian Western hockey belt of competition right now. They had that Calgary spot, Edmonton spots. They got the Vancouver spot tonight. And of those 3 teams, who would have thought that Vancouver's the top of the ranks? But it's led by a strong Thatcher Demko performance. And I think we're going to see that again tonight. Again, when you previously played the Anaheim Ducks, your opponent's on less than 2 days of rest. You are 11-2 in the last 13 games. And that's a big stat for the last season. So that's a little number for you guys to break down the NHL. Let's keep it rolling. We got 100 showing here, 42 minutes into the show. And we want to keep it rolling for you guys. We got college basketball next. We're going to finish off with the association. I'll buzz through a recap. Then we got a break, and I got to hop over to the other side there to get to this NFL live stream. So Andrew G says 2 top teams in the West. Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup, and we got great goaltending to get it done. There's the Cheshire Cat. I don't do well with people. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but let's keep it rolling. AOD says pub sports forever, baby. Let's go. Kelly V likes Colorado -1, and it's a plus money spot. So certainly shout out to Kelly V, sharing all her looks in the chat for us. Maybe she's going to do both teams to score first period, Dallas, Calgary. I kind of thought about that. I know the over or the under kind of was the trend in there, but I was thinking that could be a game that we're going to see some goals here. These guys are in that rematch spot, and they just fired off 11 the last time they played. So let's jump through. I got a lot of college basketball for you guys. I even had to, again, pull some cutting room floor material here. We know yesterday we followed a couple of trends when it came to conference spots that came off of overs, and they won for us. We're going to run it back again tonight. We got this Arkansas Pine Bluff game, though, versus Oklahoma. This is going to be, I believe it's a 7 o'clock start. So we got to look at this one pretty quickly. 71% of the bets, 80% of the cash. Let me pull up the college basketball numbers here, because I kind of skipped those for hockey because I just don't think there's a lot of merit in them, as you guys have heard me say in previous shows. As we move forward here, we're looking at this Oklahoma spot. We got Arkansas Pine Bluff against Oklahoma, 51% of the bets and 65% of the cash on Arkansas Pine Bluff when it opened at 31.5. It's moved to 27.5. Now we're starting to see some buyback. So we're starting to see some buyback on Oklahoma, thinking that number makes sense. The total is the number I want to focus on here. We have a 157.5, and it's still sitting at 157.5 out there now. It's kind of ticked back. 66% of the bets and 64% of the cash are on that over. We know Oklahoma's got 6 wins in a row. I referenced that because for Oklahoma to have 6 wins in a row, and they had that big win against USC as a home dog out there. So that was a big spot for them. That game went under. What was that? 142 is the total number on that game. Home favorites when the line is 20 points or greater, and they came off a margin of victory, 3 points or less. They're 6-14 straight up 6-14. Now, I don't think Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to come out here and upset Oklahoma. No way. You saw what USC did yesterday to Eastern Washington. They put the boots to the ass on those boys. And I think that this is an opportunity for the same. But the under jumped off the page to me here. 7-13 to the under, going under by almost 5 points in those games. So the fact that we're at 157.5 again now means I'm jumping in and taking advantage. I took the under Oklahoma 157.5 as we line shop for the most current number. It's minus 110. We're going to lock that one in. We're going to move on to the next college basketball game for you guys. We're going to look at this. We're slumming. We're slumming. We're going to mine some gold in them hills here, and we're going to talk about a couple of these conference opportunities that popped off for me. We've got this Illinois State at UIC game coming up next. 8 p.m. Eastern, plus 8.5 is where the Illinois State line opened, and it shot down to 7. 52% of the bets and 60% of the cash are taking the road dog. And the number that jumped out for me, when I looked at the Missouri Valley Conference off and over, they're 28-16 against the spread, winning by 2 points. They're 33-20. I don't know if Illinois State's a live dog, but when I look at the money line on this thing here, it opened at plus 270, 21% of the bets, 71% of the cash pounding on that Illinois State thing, and it moved it down to plus 245. If you look at the flip side, the public's all over the money line on UIC. That probably to me means it's in a bunch of parlays where they're just throwing UIC in to get the job done. It opened at minus 355. It's dropped all the way to minus 238, almost $1.20 off the original number on the money line. So is Illinois State a live dog? I don't know. I think it's a potential opportunity, though, for me with 7 points. It's a 3-3 Illinois State Redbirds team. It's a 5-2 UIC Flames team. Then as I kind of looked at it and who they played, UIC played UNC Greensboro. They were 3-point dogs. They covered, but they lost. They played George Washington. They were 1.5-point dogs. They did win, but they've been dogs the entire card here. So now they're flipping roles and they're in a favorite position. And I always think that's a suspect position or a suspect spot to be in. So, the last 2 road games for Illinois State haven't been great. They lost to Wright State as a 2.5-point dog. They did lose to High Point, but that was an online game. So it was a 74-72 spot that they lost on. I just think it's an opportunity for Illinois State here. When we look at the spot coming off of, an over in the Missouri Valley Conference, those teams rebound incredibly well. And I think it's a spot we're going to take advantage of tonight. So Illinois State plus 7 is the number that's still out there. Let's move on. We're going to cover this next game is Lamar and UTSA. Jose Bouquet, I apologize in advance, but I am fading your boys. It's another one of those spots here where we've got, let me scroll back down. I had to jump out of it to get this number popped up here. But as we look at this thing, we've got, I'm out of direction here. 67% of the bets and 77% of the cash on this UTSA minus 1.5. Let's talk about the money line. Minus 140 is where it opened up at. 89% of the bets, 96% of the cash on UTSA hasn't moved. It's minus 140. So, here's a spot for me where I looked at this thing. Southland Conference teams, when they're coming off and over, 28-16, just like that Missouri Valley Conference situation. 28-16 against the spread. 33-20 straight up. Lamar, I got the 4. I think it's 3.5 now as I'm shopping. It's 3.5 now, but get it quick because there are starting to see 2.5s and 1.5s if you're going to look at that Lamar direction. Also, the money line was a spot that I'm going to sprinkle. I'm going to leave it as a lean today, but that's still plus 140. That's dropping as well. It's down to plus 114. So we got all this money coming in on the UTSA side of things, and those numbers are starting to drop. So 3.5 will be our official show play. Again, I lean to the money line, but I'm not going to make it an official play. Just going to go with the points. Give me the points here. I always like to sprinkle that, on the backside of it anyways. But the game I wanted to talk about, I know somebody brought it up in the chat, is this Tennessee Martin Rice game, right? This game to me feels like it's very much a prototype of the game that we had yesterday with Alabama A&M Tennessee State. We got a team that, let me pull it up here. The line opened at 3.5 for Tennessee Martin. It's shot way up to 7.5. 40% of the bets, 18% of the money on Tennessee Martin. I should have read it the other way. 60% of the bets, 82% of the cash on Rice. The total, 64% of the bets, 79% of the cash on the under. It's dropped to 161. You guys know I like that correlation. When we've got a favorite and we see it moving to the under, I like to get involved in those spots. If you look at the money line, 99% of the cash is on Tennessee Martin to come here and get the job done. And it's moved up a full $1. We got a 1-5 Rice team. We got a 5-2 Tennessee Martin Skyhawks team. And I had to jump in on Rice. Rice, yeah, they're not world beaters out there, but they're not world beaters because it's almost like that UC Irvine game to some extent, where UC Irvine's sporting a good record. But, at the end of the day, they've been playing quality opponents. They just played at UC Irvine. Yeah, they lost 83-68, but that's a quality opponent. They played New Mexico, another quality opponent. They played Indiana State, not so much a quality opponent, but this year Indiana State's been playing pretty well. And they played at Texas. So they did cover that big number against Texas. If you look at Tennessee Martin, though, Tennessee Martin's played Charleston State, UNN Asheville, Prairie View, Eastern Kentucky. Tennessee Martin's not testing themselves out there. Now, the last 2 wins they had against subpar opponents, yeah, they put up a lot of points, but look at that UNC Asheville game, Northern Arizona game, 105-103. They're just not playing defense. The one thing that Rice does is they rebound well. And again, it's a spot for me when I look at this thing. Ohio Valley teams often over 19-41 against the spread. That Rice game certainly was. I'm sorry, that Tennessee Martin game wasn't over. It was lined at 148. We got 165 points in that game, way over the number. And it shows me that they gas out. This is a team that gasses out. Furthermore, if you look at this line, kind of suspect. Why is a team that's 1-5, getting 5.5 points out there? It looks like 5.5 is still the number. Let me just check. I see 7.5s everywhere, but it looks like Bet Rivers and FanDuel have 5.5. So I'm just going to line shop this thing really quick for you guys. Hopefully I can do this really quick on the fly. We're moving at a pretty good pace. So I don't want to bring us to a screeching halt, but I want to get a good number. So that being said, let me look. We're looking for Rice baby. Doon. And we have -7.5. Still no. I guess these numbers haven't changed or refreshed. I'm still going to take it. I don't care. Give me the -7.5. Why is this thing moving in that direction? It's a lean spot for me for you guys here, being that we're sitting there at 5.5 now has moved to 7.5. I'll probably play it personally. I like this number with the Ohio Valley off that over at 19-41. I'm going to leave this as a show, but just a lean for this point here. The last game I'm going to talk to you guys about is Creighton versus Oklahoma State. And this is a big one. Creighton just got thumped, and they are trying to rebound and rally out there. And that was that thumping that they took against, was that USC? I can't recall the specific team here. I don't have it in my notes. Let me pull up the numbers. Let me pull up the cash flow. The line opened at -6. It's now -8. 82% of the bets and 92% of the cash are on those Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton did, in fact, just have a loss against, it was Colorado State. And that's the game that number 9 Creighton got beat down by Colorado State and moved Colorado State into the top 20. They only scored 48 points that game. We got all this cash moving in on Creighton. Sharp money's pushing in on Creighton. The line's moving towards Creighton. I went with the first half. I got it at a -105. Let me line shop again to make sure that's still the best number, because some of these things are moving quite a bit. -106. So there's another cent of, keep it real. We'll keep it legit. We're going to go -106. My theory on this game is Creighton's got to bounce back hard. They can't settle for what they had from a low shooting performance. When you lose a game like that, you got to start with defense and keep these boys shut down. It's a Big East, Big 12 battle, though. There's a lot of storied history in these types of matchups. And Oklahoma State's coming in at 3-3. So Oklahoma State's not necessarily lighting the world on fire. And I think Creighton's got to be motivated to come back. Oklahoma State, they beat Houston Christian. They beat New Orleans. New Orleans isn't the team that they were the previous year. They lost to Notre Dame. They lost to St. Bonaventure. That's a black eye. They were a 3-point favorite traveling out here to southwestern New York, and they lost that game 66-64. The score's misleading because they were getting the shit kicked out of them the entire time. So give me Creighton to bounce back. Big start for Creighton in this game, -4.5. Chosen One says, I like Creighton full game. Not mad at the first half, though. All right. And Truth Teller says he's on the under first quarter. I'm not sure which game you guys are talking about. Let's move on to the NBA. I want to keep it rolling here for you guys. We got about 6 minutes to 7. We got those college basketball plays out of the way. And I have a couple of NBA plays as well. I didn't go heavy in the association tonight. A little reluctant after kind of once bitten, twice shy, right? So I didn't want to jump in there from last night. But as far as the NBA is concerned, let me pull up the cash flow and the splits. A big card tonight, guys. So appreciate everybody hanging in there. We're getting through it. We're 100 deep, guys. If you haven't hit the like button just yet, then please do so. Take a look down. If that thumb's not up, do me the solid and put it up. Chosen One says just cashed FAU first half. I like that FAU spot. I forgot to get to the window on it, so I'm a little mad at that. All right, let's talk about this game here. The Pacers. The Pacers are now +4. This is one of those games that was on the Steam report. The Pacers were getting steamed. And I looked at this thing. It's a lean for me. I had to put something on the cutting room floor. Again, I had too many plays that I liked, and I want to make sure I got enough cash to make it worth my while on the plays that I'm really locked in on. So road teams, when they have rest and the line's bigger, shorter than 7 points, are 23-0-1 against the spread. The Pacers opened up as 1.5-point road dogs. It's moved to 4. 69% of the bets, 52% of the cash on the Pacers. We know they're scoring. There's a ton of overs going into those games. Ultimately, for me, the Pacers have covered 4 in a row as road dogs, specifically against the Miami Heat. That was a big factor. But the thing that I looked at with the Pacers is like they're all gas. There's no defense out of this team. So we know that the Heat like to score in lower paced games. We have all this cash coming in on the over, 73% of the bets and 93% of the cash on the over, and we're seeing it move to the under. So I couldn't get there on the total. I just got burned again. They're still 12-2, I believe, to the over, the Pacers they are. But I like the Pacers in this spot at the +4. I'm not sure how motivated Miami is to get the job done. 23-0-1 against the spread number for me seemed like a pretty good number to get behind here. And if you look at who the Heat have played, they just got beat up by Milwaukee by 7 points. They were getting 4.5 as a dog. They got whooped up by Brooklyn. They were getting 7.5 as a dog. They lost to the New York Knicks, but they were getting 5.5, so they covered that spread. And they got whooped up. They whooped up on Cleveland, 129-96. So 3 losses in a row for the Miami Heat. On the flip side, the Pacers are win one, lose one, win one, lose one. This would be the win one spot. Now, I'm not going to play a game of that kind of, zig and zag type of theory, but it just felt like this is a potential spot where I don't know how motivated the Heat are to come out here and play this game. We know they like to control the pace. What scares me about controlling the pace is if they do come out there and play a pace game, it's going to get frustrating for the Pacers, and they're going to start taking a lot of stupid threes. And Halliburton can do that. He can go out there and show that he's successful with the three. It's just not something I wanted to jump in on. So the games I did make official plays on coming up next here. I wonder if I'm getting sick. Hope I'm not getting sick. But smash everything here. All right, we're going to look at this game here. Official play for me. This game to me felt a lot like that Orlando game yesterday. We have a team in the Nets, really fired up right now. This number opened at 7.5, out to 8.5 now. There's even 9.5 starting to creep out there. 82% of the bets, 75% of the cash on the Nets. It opened at 227.5. It's dropped to 222.5. 65% of the bets, but only 35% of the cash on the under. So pretty big movement considering the sharps are starting to get in on that over. The numbers I see out there, 8.5 is the official number now. It's available at DraftKings. I'm going to still take it. It's an official play for me. It's on the Steam report. The Nets, 16 wins in a row against the Southeast Division as a favorite. They covered 8 in a row as a favorite against the Southeast Division. You guys have heard me talk about the matchups. This is very similar to that Orlando Magic spot. When you have a team, they're built to fight within their divisions. And when you see how they match up and profile against other division teams, and they're continuing to have great streaks like this, I'm going to run with them. I'm going to run back to those Brooklyn Nets -8.5. Next game, we're going to talk about Bucks at the Bulls, keeping a brisk pace. We're going to try to get this thing in under the wire for you guys here. It's a big game. A lot of people were talking about this game earlier today, and can't say I disagree. This one also felt a little bit like what was the game yesterday where we didn't have the line? Oh, it was the Magic game. There was no line movement. It opened at 10. It stayed at 10. The Bucks -8, still at -8, although we're starting to see some numbers creep up. 85% of the bets, 87% of the cash on the Bucks. The latest number you can get, now there's says there's an 8. It looks like it's 9.5 now. I broke this one down much like I did that Magic game yesterday. I'm just going to take the first half. I want to get in and out of this thing. I don't want to see what happens with the Bucks. I know they're killing it right now. They covered 5 straight in a row on the road. It made the Steam report for the Bucks as well. A lot of cash coming in on the Bucks. The books are showing some concern to it. I broke it down though to the first half. I want the 4.5. Give me the lowest number with the best opportunity to cash. The Bulls are 1-9 in the first half. The Bucks 8 first quarters in a row versus the Bulls tells me they start out pretty strong and confident against the Bulls. The Bulls are a fucking mess right now at the end of the day. It's only a matter of time before we see the building goes for sale and they're looking to pave over the parking lot and put up a bunch of Mickey D's or something. So I'm going to jump in on this Buck spot. I know that's, probably not the best thing some of you guys want to hear, but these numbers just don't support a spot where you got a hot Bucks team and you got a I don't know, cold. Can we say cold? Is it a cold Bulls team out there. The Bulls just getting beat up. They lost to Boston. They got shut down by Boston. They lost to Brooklyn. They got shut down by Brooklyn. They lost to Toronto. This is their first home game back as well. So you got a team that's got 4 straight road games coming back home for the first time. They got to pick up the dry cleaning. They got to restock the shelves in the closet. They got all kinds of things going on besides basketball. And you got a Bucks team that's shown no fear when it comes to the Bulls and covering a ton of games in a row on the road. So give me the -4.5, and let's rock on to this next game. It's going to be the final game on the card here for you guys. Trying to get it in. A lot to go over, lots of plays. We'll do a recap at the end as well. And shout out you guys there in the chat for sharing your plays. This last game that we're going to look at here is the Hawks and the Spurs. Spot that I actually like quite a bit here. So we've got this number opened up at 6.5, and it sits, there's 6.5s now. It did peak out at 7 and even 7.5, but it's starting to come back. 57% of the bets, 66% of the cash on the Hawks. The totals moved up as well, 244.5. up to 248, 84% of the bets, 86% of the cash. We got an 8-9 Hawks team. We got a 3-14 San Antonio team. And look, I think this is a tough spot for the Spurs. First and foremost, the Spurs have the worst margin point differential in the league. It's 12.85. It was bad last year. It's even worse this year. So as much as they got Wembanyama out there doing his thing, he ain't doing shit when it comes to putting points on the board and generating the offense to win these games. Now he might if they put a supporting cast around him, but yet to be determined. The Spurs are reeling. They've got a ton of losses in a row. They just lost again against Denver. They're getting 10.5 points at Denver. They just lost by 12 points out there. Didn't get the job done. The Hawks aren't doing much better. This is their third road game. They lost to Cleveland. They lost to Boston. You can say that Boston game was a big matchup for them. They were getting 7.5. But at the end of the day, for me, a couple things I looked at. Away favorites. 22-1 against the spread when they're facing a non-division opponent they lost to in their previous meeting. So it's a revenge spot for the Hawks. We just talked about the point differential disaster that is the San Antonio Spurs. And Atlanta's off the back-to-back road losses. So they're going to want to get their shit together and figure this thing out. Atlanta made the Steam report for me as well. The official number, not my Steam report, the Steam report, I should say. And I'm going to take the -6.5. So there is that 6.5 out there. Another spot I want to throw out there for you guys. It's a lean for me. I might do a little same game parlay with you. You guys know I've tried to put together a money line spot with a parlay here. I do like the Wembanyama over 2.5 blocks. It's +140. 1.5s are predominantly in the market at -6, -165 and -170s. But if you beef that thing up, the guy's been averaging 2 or more here, right? He's got a tremendous wingspan. He's taller than like everybody in the NBA at the end of the day. So the books just haven't adjusted yet. 2 or more blocks in his past 5 games. He's covered the over 2.5 in 3 of his last 5 games as well. And the Hawks are scoring a ton of points. They got 100 points or more in 73 straight games. That's the longest streak in the NBA. Who knew? Hawks are scoring a ton of points. We knew that. We just didn't know it was the longest streak in the NBA. They're also averaging the second most points in the association with 122 this season. So tons of points going on there. And it takes basic, simple math. It takes a lot of shots to get that many points. All Wemby has to do is put his hands up a couple of times to knock down 3 of those blocks for us. So I like to lean to the over 2.5. I think it's a good spot for him at +140. That's available on FanDuel. Make sure you guys try to take advantage of that. And let's go here. We got it in. We're at 7:03. Everybody in the chat, shout it out. Sharpie in there. I'm not sure what he's what he's doing out there, but Sharpie, appreciate you on the 1s and 2s. Cheshire Cat, Brent Cook, Monster Stat, Hawks -6. Let's go. You know it, Brent Cook. We want to get to the window, baby. Nasty Nate's out there. They'll work good together. I'm not sure who he's talking. I'm moving up from the bottom. Cuckoo, fade every Chicago starter. I don't disagree, man. That's a tough spot. Leonard Porsche, there he is. -5.5 on FanDuel. Yeah, I saw that, Leonard, but I looked at FanDuel and it showed 7.5. So we got some last minute movement there. T says paved over the parking lot. Put in paradise. Let's go, you guys. I appreciate everybody dropping in. If you haven't done so, hit the like button. It'd be a lot easier if you guys just came in automatically and whacked that thing so I didn't have to say it a ton. Oh, Blank with a great stat. If there's no Levine, just always fade the Bulls, but the Bucks like to troll that first quarter. Yeah, the official plays for me, guys. We're going to give this recap, and we're going to get out of there. If she ain't 280. No. We moved it up to 480. Don't you remember? We moved it up to 480 not too long ago for our guy, Sharpie. We're making an exception. It's the wintertime. It's time to hibernate, and there's nothing better than climbing in with a big bear and taking a little hibernation snooze. Anyhow, Dallas, first half, NFL, -5.5 official play for me. We're going to keep it rolling. Tons in the NHL. I got New Jersey Devils. I took the Pittsburgh Penguins at plus money, Chicago Blackhawks at plus money, the Nashville Predators, the Edmonton Oilers, the Dallas Stars, and the Vancouver Canucks. We got the under 157.5 in Oklahoma. We got Illinois State +7. Lamar +3.5 against Jose's UTSA Roadrunners. We got Creighton first half -4.5. And then in the NBA, I went Nets -8.5. They were on the Steam report. I also went with the Bucks first half -4.5. Bucks on the Steam report. And the Hawks -6.5 on the Steam report. A little regression on the Hawks, guys. That's going to do it tonight. Huge show. Appreciate everybody stopping in. We got about 25 minutes. We're going to hop over to the other stream, and we're going to do a little live NFL betting, sweating, baby. It's going to be a great night tonight. Make sure you're there. If you haven't done so, again, hit that like button, retweet, let your friends know we're out here doing it. We're trying to get that cash, and it means a ton to have all you guys here. $4.99 a month. If you haven't become a member, please join Pub Sports. It gives us that opportunity to invest in the infrastructure, bring you guys more shows, more winners, more opportunities to put cash in your pocket. Thank you, Sharpie, for rocking in here today with us. Bet the Sky says Warriors -2.5. Can't be mad at that one either. Let's go, you guys. You know the deal. We be pubbing. We be seeing you in a little bit, baby. Let's go. Let's get them fast call, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap POD, Mike M.
We are live, and you are here. Let's go, Billy Briggs. How you doing, Dutch? What up, brother? Bouncer, what's up, brother? LJ from the HLJ.
Mike, man, happy to be here, man.
T on the ones and twos, -7.5, the official number we'll use, and the lines move 2 points. And this is not a show to be late for.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pubbing.
Does anybody else have any other stupid